Chosen ones, take a deep breath and lean into this moment, because what you're sensing in your spirit isn't paranoia, and it's definitely not your imagination. The shaking, the static, the strange timing of events, it's all real, and it's happening because you're entering a divine window, a critical threshold that the unseen world has already detected. Before your blessing even reaches your hands, the resistance rises like clockwork. You've noticed it, haven't you? The spaces that once felt peaceful are now tense. The people who once flowed with ease are suddenly distant or chaotic. Energy that once uplifted now feels heavy, sharp, disjointed. Why now? Why this intensity out of nowhere? It's because what's coming next in your life is no ordinary upgrade. It's a supernatural leap, and that kind of movement sends shockwaves into every dimension you touch. The moment your frequency starts climbing, the distractions start scrambling. That's not random. That's strategy. Because the forces that benefit from your confusion don't wait for your permission to interfere. They launch their attacks the moment your light gets louder. Let's pause right here and extend deep, heartfelt gratitude to those of you who have supported this channel through super thanks. Your donations don't just bless us, they help these truths reach more chosen ones who are silently battling storms, unsure why their peace has been hijacked. But whether you've donated or not, we want you to know from the bottom of our hearts, we are deeply thankful for you. Your presence, your encouragement, your energy, it keeps this mission alive, and we are honored to share this space with you. Now, here's the real question. Have you felt it lately? The sudden miscommunications, the fake apologies, the friends who vanish as soon as you start healing, the deadlines that twist into confusion just as you gain clarity. The exhaustion that hits the day after your breakthrough feels close enough to touch. Why does that all happen at once? Because something massive is lining up and your spirit knows it, even if your eyes can't fully see it yet. You've been chosen for something so impactful, so disruptive to the old order, that even before the reward lands, the noise machines are activated. Emotional traps appear. Dramas you didn't sign up for knock on your door. Former distractions dress up in new outfits, hoping to sneak in through your blind spots. But here's the warning wrapped in wisdom. This is the final test of focus. They're not trying to destroy you. They can't. What they're after is your attention, because where your attention goes, your energy flows. They want you so overwhelmed that you miss the opening when destiny knocks. They don't need you to fail. They just need you to flinch, miss your cue, doubt your gift, shrink when it's time to shine. And in a world addicted to noise, stillness becomes your rebellion. So pause, center yourself, and if any part of this message is hitting your soul, do something bold. Comment 777. Show the universe and the unseen realm that you're tuned in, fully alert, and unwilling to let chaos rewrite your chapter. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, not just for your growth, but to anchor this frequency for others walking this same path in silence. Because this isn't just your battle. This is a collective rising. Chosen ones all over the world are feeling the friction right now. And it's not failure, it's confirmation. Confirmation that the gate is swinging open. Confirmation that the next level is no longer theory, it's reality. But only the focused will be ready. Remember who you are. Your presence shifts rooms. Your silence speaks volumes. You were never meant to blend in. Your vibration announces itself before you even say a word. That's why the warfare has intensified. That's why you've caught so many arrows. You're not being targeted because you're weak. You're being targeted because you're transformational. Structures that feed on confusion are already cracking under your clarity. So when energy vampires reappear, when small annoyances try to stir outrage, when your sleep breaks for no reason and your mind feels foggy, know this: your breakthrough is near. This is the final smokescreen, the last-minute chaos before the catapult. Don't look away. Don't lose your grip. This is your window, and no weapon formed against you, not even the subtle ones, will prosper. Now, let's walk through this together. If you're truly chosen, you won't click away. You'll stay and listen, because chosen ones don't run when the noise spikes. We double down. We anchor deeper. We guard our focus like it's holy. Because it is. They don't panic until your alignment starts tightening, until the heavens start shifting in your favor. That's when they scramble. That's when the false friends resurface. That's when the distractions turn seductive. Stay locked in. This is the part where destiny demands your undivided attention. God's chosen ones, they're plotting to throw you off, but your blessing is too powerful. The moment heaven begins arranging the resources for your next level, a ripple travels through the spiritual realm. And whether you realize it or not, chosen one, that ripple reaches your enemies before it reaches your conscious mind. They sense it instantly. While you're still processing a strange shift in the atmosphere, a sudden tension in conversations, an unexplained heaviness in your chest, a flicker of anticipation you can't put into words. They're already moving, strategizing, scrambling, building their ambush before you can even name the blessing. Why? Because they can't afford for you to rise. They don't spend their energy on stagnant people. They don't plot against someone sitting still. They only panic when they feel movement. And right now, all signs point to you ascending. Have you ever noticed how the moment you decide to step forward, distractions multiply? Accusations come out of nowhere. People start behaving strangely. Financial situations suddenly become unstable. Technology breaks down. It's not a coincidence. It's not bad luck. It's a spiritual indication that something massive is about to be released into your life. The forces that once mocked you now panic behind closed doors. They know they can't cancel what heaven has signed. So what's their fallback strategy? Confusion. They can't stop the delivery, so they target your readiness. They don't need to block the blessing. They just need to keep you so disoriented, discouraged, and distracted that you miss the door opening right in front of you. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. Isaiah 54:17. But make no mistake, the weapons are still formed. The betrayal, the doubt, the drama, all carefully engineered to misalign your soul just long enough to cause delay. Have you been feeling betrayed lately? Like those closest to you are suddenly acting out of character? That's not random. That's resistance. Betrayal has always preceded elevation. Look at Joseph, betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned on false charges. But what happened next? He became second only to Pharaoh. His hardship was not his burial, it was his promotion. They're not targeting you because you failed. They're targeting you because you carry the kind of light that exposes their falsehood. They feel your truth before you speak it. That's why your silence alone unnerves them. It's not that you're loud, it's that your presence is too loud for their lies. The energy around you has shifted. Have you noticed how environments that once felt familiar now feel tense? How some people now glance sideways when you walk in, even though you've done nothing? That's because your elevation has announced itself spiritually, and those who dwell in the dark can feel when the light has stepped into the room. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and love and self-control. 2 Timothy 1:7. That's your true wiring, and yet they'll try to get you to forget it. How? They sneak in wearing the mask of friendship. They mimic your language. They offer advice laced with discouragement. They'll trigger old patterns, bring up past wounds, resurrect the version of you that you've buried with growth. But remember this, the enemy doesn't have to strike you directly. All they need to do is whisper one lie loud enough to make you doubt your readiness. If they can make you second-guess what's already yours, you'll miss what has your name on it. Take Oprah Winfrey, for example. Before she became a household name, she was fired from her job as a news anchor and told she was unfit for television. But what looked like rejection was redirection. That same platform that tried to cast her out now reveres her as one of the greatest media pioneers in history. Resistance often precedes revelation. The enemy knows when a chosen one is about to become unavoidable. Your life right now may feel like a whirlwind, strange fatigue, mental fog, unexpected conflict, a sense of pressure without explanation. That's not breakdown. That's breakthrough in disguise. You're not being destroyed, you're being realigned. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28. Even the storm is being used for your setup, but you must stay alert. The battlefield is your mind. If they can wear you out before your moment arrives, they don't need to sabotage the blessing. You'll do it for them out of exhaustion and fear. Think about Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison, facing injustice and isolation. But he didn't waste the pressure. He didn't let betrayal or hardship rewrite his worth. He emerged from that confinement not broken, but sharper, ready, and prepared to lead a nation into healing. His confinement was the crucible for his calling, and so is yours. Notice the pattern. The moment you decide to build better habits, temptation increases. The second you choose peace, chaos arrives. The instant you try to separate from toxic relationships, they start chasing your attention. That's not just life. That's opposition that studied your patterns. This is not a guessing game. It's a data-driven, spiritually calculated assault designed to interrupt your alignment. But guess what? Their intensity is your confirmation. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. The greatest battles are often won not through force, but through alignment. You don't need to react to everything. Not every trap needs your participation. Your stillness can be the greatest weapon. Let them throw their plans. Let them stage their drama. The fact that it's all escalating now is your evidence that the gate is about to swing open. You are standing on the edge of something sacred. Consider the life of Tyler Perry. For years he wrote plays that no one showed up to see. He lived out of his car, rejected and overlooked, but he didn't stop. He stayed in alignment with the calling God whispered to him. Now, he owns one of the largest film studios in the world. Not because there were no battles, but because he didn't quit when it looked like he had no backing. Chosen one, this isn't falling apart, it's falling together. And while they panic over your next move, understand this: your blessing was never small. It was always going to cause a stir. What you're carrying is disruptive to systems of control. It awakens those who've been asleep. It sparks questions in others who've been numb. That's why it feels heavy. That's why the pressure got louder. You are walking into a moment that was foretold before you were born. Now the question becomes, will you cave under the pressure, or will you let the pressure remind you of the promise? Will you see the chaos or the code hidden within it? Will you run back to comfort or step boldly into calling? You've already outgrown the version of yourself that they knew. You've already crossed the line where fear can't follow. The unveiling is happening, and once your true self steps forward in full alignment, no shadow can withstand your presence. You are not just walking into your blessing, you are becoming the blessing. And the moment that hits, the game changes completely. They don't panic when you start. They panic when you're almost ready. The moment your inner groundwork nears completion, when your spirit aligns with your assignment, when the final layer of preparation locks into place. That's when the opposition begins to tremble. And chosen one, if lately you've felt a strange pressure twisting in your chest, don't misread it as something going wrong. That discomfort isn't a warning, it's an announcement. It's a spiritual tension that shows up right before the dam breaks and floods your life with breakthrough. What if the very thing that feels like chaos is actually the final contraction before birth? What if your restlessness isn't panic, but prophecy? Let them whisper, let them watch, let them make assumptions, throw side comments, or strategize behind your back. Their opinions are not your assignment. Their speculation is not your signal. You've got one job right now: stay aware, stay aligned, because the reward is no longer a distant hope. It's en route, it's moving through realms, it's drawn by your obedience, and it's already been marked with your spiritual fingerprint. They can't steal what they can't perceive. They can't block what was never built on their rules. Can you feel it? That subtle internal hum that says something huge is about to arrive. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. Habakkuk 2:3. God's blessings are never rushed, but they are always right on time. And as that divine delivery gets closer, those who operate in shadow begin to squirm. Why? Because you don't fit their patterns. You're a blueprint they weren't trained to recognize. You're not moved by status, credentials, or trends. You don't need applause to know you're effective. Your power doesn't derive from permission. It comes from presence. Think about how often you've been imitated, how often others have copied your words, your tone, your energy. They borrow your aesthetics but never reach your outcomes. Why? Because authenticity can't be plagiarized. What flows from your soul is rooted in a depth they've never sat with. You're not just a trend, you're a transmission. Your frequency shifts environments, not by force, but by resonance. Have you noticed how rooms feel different when you arrive? How people get strangely quiet, or overly talkative, or throw out nervous jokes that don't quite land? That's because they don't know how to interpret the power you carry in silence. But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. Your strength isn't something you perform, it's something you embody. It's not painted on your face, it's encoded in your spirit, and that encoding cannot be replicated. Sure, they can mimic your moves, mirror your vocabulary, pretend to share your vision, but the heartbeat behind it is missing. Because your confidence isn't theater. It's the natural outflow of alignment, with truth, with purpose, with the divine rhythm of heaven's timing. That's why you're misunderstood. That's why you're often misread. Beyonc, one of the most celebrated artists of this generation, has often said, "Power is not given to you, you have to take it." But even more striking is how she operates. Despite the constant spotlight, she guards her energy with intention. She doesn't explain herself to the noise. She lets her work speak, and no matter how many try to recreate her moves, none can replicate her essence, because excellence born of calling can't be copied. The same goes for you, chosen one. You are not here to convince. You are here to carry. That's why your name keeps coming up in rooms you've never stepped into. That's why people you've never confided in seem overly curious. Some of them aren't seeking friendship. They're seeking access. They're trying to study you, decode you, analyze your essence like data. But they'll fail, because you are encrypted. You are a living broadcast of truth in a world addicted to noise. They can't decode your frequency, so they resort to poking the source. Sly jokes, subtle criticisms, odd changes in tone. Each jab is a probe, a test, a spiritual scan looking for cracks. But what they didn't calculate is that you were built in fire. Betrayal didn't break you, it baptized you. Isolation didn't crush you, it crafted you. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love Him. 1 Corinthians 2:9. And because they can't conceive it, they try to confine it. They label you too intense, too sensitive, too ambitious, too much. But every label is an attempt to shrink you down to something they can manage. They twist your uniqueness into something shameful, suggesting it's safer to blend in than to stand bold. Don't fall for it. You weren't wired to conform. You were designed to awaken. You were born to interrupt patterns and reveal possibilities. Think of Frida Kahlo, the Mexican artist whose self-expression shattered boundaries. Her art was strange to some, uncomfortable to many, and deeply honest. But it wasn't crafted to please. It was crafted to reveal. That's your power. You're not here to blend in with expectations. You're here to realign perceptions. You're here to remind the world that real power doesn't ask fear for permission. So the next time the room shifts when you enter, the next time someone tries to reduce you with a backhanded compliment, pause and breathe. That moment isn't rejection, it's reflection, it's proof. Proof that your momentum is real. Proof that your signal is being picked up, even if it's misunderstood. Proof that unseen blessings are already orbiting your life, awaiting the moment of arrival. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. You are that light. They can't grasp it, so they scramble to extinguish it. But here's the truth. They can't touch what they don't understand. They can't sabotage what they can't track. And no matter how many angles they try, the code remains locked, because you weren't made to be figured out. You were made to be followed. Take Elon Musk, for instance. Criticized, misunderstood, labeled eccentric, yet his innovations have shifted entire industries. He wasn't aiming to be accepted. He was aiming to build. And those who build from inner alignment rather than external applause always disrupt systems. You're cut from that same cloth. Your thoughts may seem too bold, your presence too strong, your clarity too unsettling. But all of that is the very evidence that you're no longer running on old frequencies. Distraction has become the sleekest weapon of modern warfare against the chosen ones. And it's not wielded with force, but with finesse. You, chosen one, are not being held back by chains or cells. You're being targeted by an invisible strategy, a frequency of chaos designed to scatter your mind so finely that you no longer hear the whisper of your true calling. And that is their entire game plan, not to destroy your purpose outright, but to delay its arrival indefinitely. They don't need to defeat you. They just need to keep you scrolling, reacting, spiraling, until your assignment becomes a forever almost. Do you ever wonder why the moment you get clarity, something petty interrupts? Why does your rhythm always seem to get shaken just as you find your flow? It's not random. The moment your gaze shifts from your lane to the noise around you, to what they're saying, doing, posting, they've already taken what they were after. And what they want most isn't your energy, your kindness, or even your time. It's your momentum. Because momentum is the engine of destiny. Without it, even divine callings can sit idle. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. In a world screaming for your attention every second, stillness is now a radical act. Quiet isn't just peace, it's protection. And when you finally tune out the static, lift your head above the digital whirlwind and return to that sacred internal pull. That's when the real war begins. Because the enemy doesn't want you to hear the call. So they turn up the noise, Distraction rarely looks like danger. It dresses up as fun, ease, pleasure. It wears the faces of catching up, just relaxing, or staying informed. It's that autoplay episode, that viral controversy, that quick scroll that consumes hours. Your phone knows, your apps know. Algorithms feed on your weaknesses like vultures. They remember every hesitation, every insecurity, every emotional spike, and they serve it back on a loop. Meanwhile, your destiny is still standing at the threshold, patiently waiting for your attention to return. But every time you stare into the lives of strangers, you slowly drift from your own. Think about Jim Carrey, once the face of comedy, adored globally, yet after achieving fame, he spoke publicly about feeling empty. He said, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see that it's not the answer." Distraction had consumed him until stillness reminded him of his deeper self. And the same applies to you. Realignment doesn't come from more stimulation. It comes from subtraction. From remembering that attention is a sacred currency, and wherever it flows, your power follows. Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things. Colossians 3:2. You don't have to engage every battle. You don't need to explain yourself in every comment section. You don't need to react to every jab. Because every time you give your energy to surface-level distractions, you're not just wasting time, you're leaking purpose. You are a reservoir of divine influence, and they know it. That's why the most dangerous attacks don't come with swords. They come with entertainment. Even in the physical world, distraction shows up with a smile. Have you ever noticed that certain people suddenly pop into your life? Not when you're down, but when you're finally getting up again. When your spiritual posture improves, when your mindset tightens, when your habits solidify. That's when the old flame texts you. That's when an argument erupts over nothing. That's when someone shows up needing just a minute, but takes hours from your soul. That's not coincidence. That's calculated interference. Let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles. Hebrews 12:1. The truth is, most of what holds you back isn't evil. It's simply excessive. It's noise in disguise. It's emotional landmines that activate only when progress gets close. It's the friend who only checks in when you're building something meaningful. It's the casual scroll that turns into a 2-hour trance. You don't notice the loss right away. But when you finally sit to build, you're too drained to begin. Take a moment and reflect. How many weeks have you lost replaying the same arguments? How many hours have you invested in people who never clapped for your growth? How many times have you said, "I'll start tomorrow," only to find yourself tangled in the same mess next week? The trap is subtle, but the result is devastating. They didn't steal your anointing. They just kept you so busy you forgot to activate it. Purpose doesn't disappear. Power doesn't vanish. But both can be put to sleep when your headspace is overcrowded. That's their aim. Keep you breathing, but never blazing. Keep you alive, but never awakened. That's why the world doesn't need to destroy you. It only needs to keep feeding you small doses of chaos. Just enough to question yourself. Just enough to blur your clarity. Because once you hesitate long enough, burnout creeps in. Not from overwork, but from overflow in the wrong direction. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. The modern battlefield is attention. Whoever wins your focus wins your future. That's why you must guard your focus as if your entire purpose depends on it. Because it does. It's not about paranoia. It's about precision. If a conversation consistently drains your energy, cut it. If an environment numbs your creativity, leave it. If a platform manipulates your peace, limit it. You don't have to beg for what God has already prepared. You just have to be present when it shows up. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes of all time, had one defining trait above all: focus. He wasn't the tallest or the fastest, but his ability to lock in, to tune out the crowd, to ignore distractions, that's what made him legendary. He didn't let small talk rob him of greatness, and neither should you. So from this moment forward, sharpen your filters. Not every buzz deserves your attention. Not every notification is an invitation. You are here to do more than exist. You're here to shift atmospheres, to awaken souls, to create legacy. That kind of work requires clarity, and clarity doesn't live in noise. You are not a passive consumer of chaos. You are a divine transmitter, and when your frequency is aligned, nations shift. Don't let digital dust storms bury your voice. Don't let emotional debris block your vision. You don't need another sign. You need space. Space for your soul to breathe, for your gifts to emerge, for your assignment to catch fire. They tried to mute your impact by keeping you busy, but now you see the trick. Now you reclaim your time, your mind, your mission. Stay awake, chosen one. Not just awake to the world, but to your own becoming. Because while they were trying to keep you endlessly distracted, God was positioning everything behind the scenes. And when it all shows up, and it will, the only question will be, were you watching or were you scrolling? Switch off the background roar, chosen one. Tune out the static. This is the moment to reclaim your awareness, to snap your attention back to what actually matters. Because the very second you do, everything that has been stalled on your behalf begins to move again. Opportunities reawaken, clarity returns, purpose resumes motion. The delay was never on heaven's end. It was in your divided focus. And the truth is, many of the leaks in your life haven't come through explosions. They've slipped in quietly, through people, through harmless connections, through soft voices wearing bright smiles and borrowed light. Have you ever felt drained after spending time with someone, even though they didn't say anything overtly toxic? Ever exited a conversation and felt more confused, more cloudy, more out of sync than when it started? That's not your imagination. That's not you being too sensitive. That's spiritual theft in real time. Some of the most dangerous energy drainers wear friendly masks. They enter your life looking like gifts, like cheerleaders, like fellow warriors. But their mission isn't to love you, it's to feed off you. You are light in motion, and that draws people, both the healed and the hungry. Do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Not every connection is holy, not every friendship is divine, and certainly not every hand extended toward you is clean. Some people step into your orbit, not to lift you, but to quietly consume you. They don't make loud demands. Instead, they mirror your vibe just enough to earn your trust. They mimic your rhythm, borrow your words, smile at the right time, until you lower your guard. And drop by drop, they siphon your spark. They don't need to cause chaos to cause damage. All they need is proximity and your unconscious permission. Look at how many times you've felt sudden fatigue even after a full night of sleep. Notice how many mornings you woke up mentally foggy for no reason. Think back to moments where your motivation evaporated right after you poured yourself out for someone else's crisis. That's not weakness. That's evidence. You're not lazy. You're not fragile. You've just been giving from a well that's been secretly drained. Consider Princess Diana, globally loved, deeply compassionate, yet behind the scenes, many in her inner circle tried to exploit her light. She gave and gave, until she began speaking publicly about emotional fatigue, depression, and spiritual exhaustion. Her story wasn't about physical weakness, it was about emotional overexposure. Even royalty isn't immune to spiritual leeches, and neither are you. That's why you must know your worth before others set your limits for you. You are not harsh for noticing the pull. You are not unloving for naming the drain. Boundaries aren't cruelty, they're spiritual self-defense. The culture may praise constant accessibility, but availability isn't proof of holiness. Sometimes it's a trap. A chosen one cannot run at full capacity if they're constantly being emotionally milked by others who have no intention of pouring back. You're not a human battery pack. You're a carrier of divine frequency, and that frequency needs fuel, silence, restoration, solitude, God. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Proverbs 4:23. Yes, that means choosing carefully who has access to your energy. Yes, that means recognizing when someone is more interested in using your spirit as a charging port than in building with you. You know the type. They only call when their confusion peaks. They linger until their peace returns. Then they vanish. Meanwhile, you're left staring at a blank screen, wondering why your ideas disappeared with them. That's not a fluke. That's intentional sabotage. Some of it unconscious, yes, but some of it carefully orchestrated. And here's the dangerous part. Many of them appear in perfect alignment with your breakthrough. Ever noticed how, just as you start making progress, someone pops up with a meltdown? You get laser focused, and boom, here comes the friend with drama, the ex with unfinished business, the co-worker with just one more problem. These moments aren't accidents. They're scheduled sabotage, timed by spirits that don't want you to see the mountaintop. Because if they can't stop your anointing, they'll try to overload your empathy. Even youths grow tired and weary, and young men stumble and fall. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Isaiah 40:30-31. Strength returns when alignment returns, and alignment requires filters. You have to teach people how to treat your energy by the boundaries you enforce. If yes is your default, expect them to keep taking. If you keep answering every call, expect your power to dwindle. If you allow every crisis to land at your door, expect your purpose to be buried under other people's noise. Robin Williams, the legendary actor and comedian, brought laughter to millions, yet privately battled overwhelming sadness. Why? Because giving non-stop, even of joy, can become unsustainable when surrounded by those who only take. We must learn from this. Even those with overflowing spirits need protection from energy theft. This is where awareness becomes your lifeline. Chosen one, open your eyes. Start watching for patterns. Who always seems to need you the moment your clarity kicks in? Who only appears when your focus is razor sharp? That's not coincidence. That's the enemy's long game. Bury you under emotional I owe us until you forget what you were sent to do. You'll never be able to ignite the world if you're constantly stuck playing emotional firefighter for people who don't want to heal. But here's the power. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. Once you acknowledge the leak, you can seal it. Awareness is freedom's first door, and the moment you begin reclaiming your time, your peace, your spiritual focus, the recharge begins. Ideas start flowing again. Passion reignites. Peace lands like rain on a dry field. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. That rest is available, but it requires separation. Not everyone gets to walk with you into this next elevation. Some must be loved from afar. Some must be blocked. Others must be reassessed. Your inner house needs cleaning, not because you're bitter, but because you're becoming. From this day forward, chosen one, you must begin treating your energy like sacred ground, not just valuable, holy. You wouldn't let anyone trample through a temple, so why allow access to your spirit without discernment? Not every call deserves a return. Not every tearful plea deserves your evening. That's not selfishness. That's clarity. That's spiritual maturity. Because the blessing that's heading your way isn't lightweight. It's divine, heavy with purpose. And it demands the full, undiluted version of you. Not the version left drained after emotional tug-of-war. Not the faded spark handed out piece by piece to everyone else's emergencies. The future you're stepping into requires focus, strength, and wholeness. This might mean saying no more often than you used to. It might mean cutting ties with relationships that have become one-way streets. It might mean walking away from stories, situations, or strings that were designed more to bind you than bless you. So be it. You were not called to shrink for comfort. You were called to rise in truth. If someone only sees your worth when it serves them, then it's not love. It's a leash. And you're not here to be tethered. You're here to elevate. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces. Matthew 7:6. Your light is a pearl, rare, sacred, powerful. And yes, from the moment you arrived on this earth, that light was obvious. You didn't hustle for it. You didn't craft it through performance. The glow was stitched into your very design. It's part of your coding. That's why the attempts to dim you started early. Because when light enters a room, shadows don't celebrate. They squirm. When you show up, masks start slipping. People feel seen in ways they weren't ready for. Their illusions start cracking. And that's not your fault. It's your assignment. You're not here just to be liked. You're not here to win approval. You're here to illuminate. And light does more than inspire. It exposes. It reveals. It burns through pretense. That's why your presence alone can trigger others, even when you've said nothing at all. Have you noticed it? The shift in energy when you enter a space, the silence that suddenly falls, the glance exchanged between people when you speak truth too clearly. That's not in your head, that's your frequency unsettling fiction. Look at Maya Angelou. Her voice, her presence, her poetry, all lit by a deep internal truth that made people feel both seen and convicted. Her light wasn't performative, it was her essence. And because of that, she faced criticism, misunderstanding, and resistance. But she never dimmed. Neither should you. Because your glow isn't about performance, it's about alignment. And when alignment intensifies, expect resistance. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. But it will try. It will come disguised. Expect weirdness. Expect envy with a smile. Expect support that slowly fades the moment you stand confidently in your gift. Old friends who suddenly get quiet when you celebrate a win, subtle jokes that carry a sting, accusations that you've changed, that you're too much now, or full of yourself. That's not humility talking. That's insecurity trying to rewrite your story. Because here's the tactic. When they can't dim your actual glow, they'll aim for your confidence. Backhanded compliments, jokes that cut, sarcastic praise, comments that feel polite but land like slaps. Why? Because if they can weaken your clarity, they think your shine will fade. But they've miscalculated something crucial. Your glow doesn't come from applause. It doesn't rely on likes, retweets, or group validation. It's rooted in essence. It's hardwired into your soul. An inner battery no one handed you, so no one can take it back. Rihanna, for example, has always walked with boldness, not because the world always applauded her, but because she knew who she was before the world formed an opinion. She faced backlash, media attacks, and judgment for her confidence, but she didn't explain herself. She didn't retreat. She expanded. She built an empire, not by begging to be seen, but by refusing to be dimmed. That's your energy now. You don't need to shout, just keep shining. That alone is enough. Let your light so shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Matthew 5:16. This light isn't just about visibility, it's about impact. The reason some people have issues with your glow isn't because it's artificial, it's because it reveals what they've been hiding. And long-settled darkness doesn't clap when the lamp flips on. So, expect the energy to shift when you claim your brilliance. Expect some to fall away. Expect the room to feel a little colder. That's not rejection, that's refinement. The atmosphere is adjusting to your elevation. And not everyone will make the climb with you. That's okay. You were born to illuminate paths, not to carry everyone's baggage along the way. Eliminate the belief that you need to apologize for standing tall. You've said sorry enough. Sorry for being gifted. Sorry for speaking truth. Sorry for dreaming bigger than your surroundings. No more. Your life is not up for dilution. You are not too bold. You are not too bright. You are not too much. You are exactly as God designed you to be, on purpose, for a purpose. For we are God's masterpiece, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. Ephesians 2:10. That masterpiece was never meant to be hidden behind politeness, false humility, or societal approval. It was meant to shine in full color, unapologetically. Chosen one, this next season of your life will demand that you shine without flinching, that you stop handing out explanations to people who were never ready for your magnitude, that you guard your energy like sacred oil, because it is. And that you remember this: your light was never random, it was assigned, and because of that, it will always make darkness uncomfortable. Why is it that as soon as your healing begins, some people begin to disappear? Why do the calls stop once you stop venting, once you stop shrinking, once you start choosing growth over chaos? It's not coincidence, it's spiritual dissonance. Your new frequency doesn't match their old rhythm. You've elevated, and they're still orbiting the version of you that kept the peace by keeping quiet. That friction you feel, it's not your fault. It's what happens when light stops dimming for comfort and starts shining in truth. And those who aren't ready to face their shadows will retreat when you stop making space for their avoidance. Have you felt that shift lately, chosen one? Like you're outgrowing people, habits, even conversations that once felt like home. It's because you're not shrinking anymore to stay lovable. You're no longer softening your truth to maintain fake peace. And peace that requires you to dim your radiance, that's not peace. That's control wearing kindness. Let them call it selfishness. Let them say you've changed. They're not wrong. You've outgrown the version of you they were comfortable with. Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I was still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. Galatians 1:10. You weren't chosen to be palatable. You were chosen to be powerful. And history proves that light and resistance always travel together. Every world changer, every revolutionary voice, every truth bringer, they were mocked, pushed aside, doubted, or ignored. Not because they were unworthy, but because their radiance disrupted what was stale and stagnant. Your glow isn't a maybe, it's a confirmation. So if the pushback is heating up, rejoice. It means your light is breaking thresholds. Think of people like Rosa Parks. One simple refusal to surrender her seat disrupted an entire societal structure. Her glow outlived the shade. She didn't shout, she didn't fight, she just stood firm. And in doing so, she cracked a system wide open. That's the power of a chosen one. Quiet, unshakable presence that makes the atmosphere shift. Your light is doing the same thing. It's not up for debate. It's truth in motion. You were never sent here to hide in safe corners. You were built to blaze. Your mission isn't to be tolerated. It's to transform. And as your glow intensifies, don't be surprised when masks start slipping. Your energy demands alignment. It will make falsehoods itch. It will cause some to step back, not because you're wrong, but because they were never meant to follow you into this next chapter. Shade cannot cancel the sun. It only proves the sun is out. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Stop apologizing for radiating. Stop apologizing for setting boundaries. Stop apologizing for refusing to dim what God designed to shine. Every time you stand firm in who you are, another illusion falls apart. Let them retreat. Let the text messages stop. Let the phone calls dry up. Your journey is shifting altitude, and only those with lungs strong enough for your height will survive the climb beside you. Have you ever seen eagles fly in flocks? Number. Because they were never meant to. That's where you are now. In rarefied air. And yes, it can feel isolating, but that loneliness, it's not abandonment, it's altitude. You're not alone because life forgot you. You're alone because not many can breathe where you're headed. Eagles don't flap through clouds begging for company. They soar alone, in stillness, above turbulence. That silence you've been resenting? It's not a punishment, it's proof. Steve Jobs was exiled from the company he founded. People called him arrogant, unmanageable, but in solitude he reimagined everything. He came back and reshaped an industry. Nelson Mandela's core didn't form at the podium. It was forged in a prison cell. Maya Angelou's roar came not from applause but from the hush of private pain. Do you see the pattern? Greatness isn't built in crowds. It's built in corridors of quiet. And you, chosen one, are being shaped in the same furnace. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1:2-3. That silence you keep praying away, that loneliness you're trying to numb, that is divine refinement. You've been called into the back room because your roar doesn't belong in whispers. It belongs on the main stage. This silence is God's soil. And yes, the stripping hurts. Yes, it feels like abandonment, but that's only because we were conditioned to believe that noise equals connection, that crowds equal love, that support must be loud. None of that is true. The reality is, what looks like isolation is actually filtration. God is removing every voice, every relationship, every influence that cannot handle the fire in you. You're sobbing over exits while heaven is clearing the runway for your launch. You're staring at the door, crying for those who walked out, when God is telling you to lift your eyes. The silence is not rejection, it's realignment. It's the space where new vision lands, where new instructions download, where destiny sharpens its edge. How many times have you confused being alone with being forsaken? How many times have you looked at your quiet season as failure instead of foundation? This is the myth we must unlearn. Crowds don't build clarity. Quiet does. Some people were never meant to move in when your next version showed up. They were tourists, not tenants. Some wore cozy labels but were secretly sent to puncture, not protect. If they could walk, let them. Their role was temporary. Your mission is eternal. You weren't designed for endless explanation. You were designed for impact. So let the silence roar. Let the stillness build. Let the exits happen. Because for chosen ones, transformation never starts on center stage. It starts in the shadows, where diamonds form, where warriors sharpen, where prophets hear the whisper of God. And while the world thinks you've gone quiet, heaven knows you're just getting started. You dream of destiny, chosen one, a radiant, soaring purpose. But deep down, have you tried to take the elevator up without ever climbing the stairs? Have you been chasing altitude without submitting to oxygen training, longing for divine revelation without sitting still long enough to receive it? You cry out, "Why has the universe gone quiet?" But what if it hasn't? What if the silence isn't punishment, but preparation? The stillness isn't absence, it's construction. And the only real question is, what will you do with the hush? Will you finally face the inner echoes you've been dodging? Will you plant roots of grit strong enough to hold your vibration steady, even when you're the only frequency in the room that's still glowing? Because the level ahead, the one being built for you, isn't for the clingy. It's not for the easily rattled. It's for the deeply grounded. It's for those who've learned to stop flinching in the quiet. The sting of loneliness you're feeling, it's not abandonment, it's a detox. It's your soul purging out the voices, environments, and energy drainers that cannot survive where you're going. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. But you can't mount up if you keep running from the waiting room. You've already sacrificed too many fragments of yourself trying to fit into spaces that celebrated your wounds but panicked at your healing. You've dulled your shine to maintain illusions of unity. But now is the moment to master solitude, to stop begging for company and start building with quiet. Stillness isn't weakness. It's where strategy is born. You were not set apart as a punishment. You were reserved as a prophecy. Even when you forget who you are, heaven remembers. So let the silence sharpen you. Let it sandpaper the rough edges. Let it teach you how to enforce boundaries without guilt. Let it drill you to walk with authority, even when no one is clapping. Because this time, when the curtain lifts, nobody will question your presence. It'll be obvious you were forged for this. And when they finally ask, "Where did you come from?" you'll answer with steady eyes and a soft voice, "I came from the silence." You were never truly alone. You were being refined. Understand now why resistance came for you so early. People saw something around you they didn't have language for. Before you even knew what it meant to be chosen, they were threatened by your glow. Their fear was their confirmation. Think about it. As a child, didn't you feel different? Didn't you notice the stares that carried something colder than curiosity? The jealousy you couldn't explain? Supposed protectors who turned against you without warning? That wasn't random. That was recognition. They sensed the divine assignment trailing behind you, even before you could articulate your passion. While you wrestled with insecurity, they studied you from the shadows, unnerved by a power they couldn't place. You were never average. You were never built to blend in. You were designed to disrupt. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. Jeremiah 1:5. That scripture isn't poetic fluff. It's spiritual blueprint, and those who opposed you sensed it. That's why trauma came early. Betrayal showed up before your boundaries did. Doubt was seeded before your confidence could grow. Their gamble was simple: break you before you awaken. But they miscalculated. Yes, heartbreak hit you hard. Yes, you questioned your worth. But here you are, still standing, still radiating, still chosen. Betrayal didn't weaken you. It clarified your circle. Rejection didn't destroy you. It purified your path. And now, your awakening is stirring. And for them, that's the nightmare. Once a chosen one realizes they were feared, not cursed, the entire board flips. Suddenly, you're no longer explaining your gravity. You stop apologizing for your intensity. You stop softening your language to make others comfortable. You walk in your God-given authority, and those who tried to bury you have no choice but to watch as you rise through the soil they threw over you. Think of Steve Jobs, ousted from the very company he built, humiliated publicly, but in exile he sharpened his vision. He returned stronger, with clarity that changed the world. Solitude didn't break him, it forged him. The same is true for you. And now, here's what you must understand. Not every assault comes with a bang. Some attacks arrive dressed in your own voice. Thoughts like, maybe I'm not ready, maybe I misunderstood God, or maybe I'll embarrass myself. That's not divine hesitation. That's spiritual sabotage in stealth mode. Because if they can get you to doubt yourself just as the door is swinging open, you'll delay your own breakthrough. You'll hesitate, you'll stall, and that's how momentum bleeds out. God is not a God of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. So recognize this. If confusion is flooding your mind right before elevation, that's the enemy trying to hijack your next step. Their goal isn't to destroy the blessing. They know they can't. Their goal is to get you to throw it away yourself. They plant whispers, release uncertainty, and then sit back as you self-sabotage in slow motion. But the moment you wrap yourself in certainty, everything changes. Your rooted faith fries every snare they built. The doubt was never you. It was the glitch. Now that the light has hit the lie, you can rip it out by the root. Stand strong. Walk steady. The blessing still has your name on it. Your only task is not to drop it in the trash can of hesitation. Distractions, betrayals, delays, all of it was a coordinated strategy, a last-ditch effort to derail a mission that's already stamped by heaven. But here you are, upright, blazing, still chosen. Look around. The silence you once resented is now your fortress. The solitude that made you ache is now your launch pad. You don't need to beg for clarity anymore. You don't need to chase validation. You've already survived everything they thought would bury you. And now you've become the very storm they tried to outrun. So stop shrinking, cut the spiral, nail your focus, rise. The crown never fell off. It was just adjusting. Now that it's steady, walk like it. So, my beloved chosen family, if you're hearing these words right now, I want you to pause for a moment and truly receive this. You are not alone, and you are not here by accident. The very fact that you're still watching, still listening, still breathing through every truth we've unpacked is proof that something sacred is rising within you. You are not just a viewer, you are a vessel. You are a divine signal that refuses to be silenced. And your presence here is part of something far greater than a video. It's a soul alignment, a spiritual confirmation, a remembering of who you are and why you came. Everything we share, everything we create, everything we pour into these messages, it's all for you, for the real you, the one behind the survival mask, the one who's been chosen since birth, even when no one told you, even when they overlooked you, even when you questioned yourself in the dark. These words were never meant to impress. They were meant to awaken. And if this message stirred something in your spirit, if it brought you peace, courage, clarity, or even tears, we want you to know how deeply honored we are to walk this path alongside you. Your love, your energy, your attention, it all matters. It's sacred fuel, and it's what keeps this spiritual movement alive. We don't take your presence for granted, and we certainly don't create these videos just to fill space. We create them because you exist, because your light matters, because your mission deserves to be supported. And if in any way our content has poured into your soul, we humbly invite you to pour back into this space if you feel led. You can do that by clicking the Super Thanks button right here on your YouTube screen. Every gift, no matter the size, helps us continue creating deeper, more meaningful messages like this. And it allows us to reach more chosen souls just like you across the globe. But please understand this from the bottom of our hearts. Whether you donate or not, whether you give or simply receive, we are endlessly grateful just to have you here. Your presence is already the greatest gift. This space isn't built on numbers, it's built on frequency, and your frequency, your energy, your commitment to growth. It resonates louder than any algorithm ever could. You are part of something divine, something rare, something holy. So thank you, truly, for being who you are, for showing up, for staying, for pressing play, for holding space with us in this sacred digital sanctuary. Thank you for being the amazing support system that you are, not just to us, but to this entire global family of chosen ones rising into their light. Your love inspires us to keep showing up, to go deeper, to speak truth, to be vessels for something higher. And as we close this message today, we speak blessings over you, not just in the areas you pray about, but in the places even you forgot needed healing. May divine favor chase you down. May your peace be protected. May your energy be renewed. May every unseen battle you've endured start bearing visible fruit. May clarity surround you, and may heaven confirm again and again that you were never forsaken, only being refined. Until the next time we meet, keep your head high, your heart open, and your frequency clean. We'll see you in the next video. And until then, walk boldly like the chosen one you are, because heaven didn't make a mistake when it chose you. Take care, stay blessed, and goodbye for now.